How's it going, everyone? So, just wanted to give some updates tonight on just a few tickers that I've been watching. The first one we got here is NVIDIA. So, we've been in this range, right? And so last week we had this imbalance that we were talking about. So, we're going to bring this over to the daily chart. So, this chart's getting very, very interesting to me. It's because whichever direction is, it can be very violent from here. Now, so yes, you do have that little head and shoulders type look going on here. Like you can see the left shoulder, your head, your right shoulder, your breakdown, under supply. Like that's the first thing that says, hey, there is some caution here. But my question is, this hasn't been filled. So that's what's got me stumped here as to, is this just a big ass trap? I mean, we're on a volume node here. That's what we bounced. We made a higher low, right? You have a trend diagonal, wolf flag, I guess, sorry, right here. It's more of a, your failed breakout, right? Sweep the highs, come back for more power right on top of this EMA here. So, I mean, it's a very, very complex position at the moment. Like, if I didn't have the EMA here, and if I didn't have this imbalance here, I'd be like, yeah, this is full on distribution. But we didn't close below this level here, the 170. Like I said, mentioned the other day, 170 is a big number. As long as we don't lose it, everything's fine. But this is also the second day of not, I mean, it's really, honestly, guys, tomorrow is going to be the importance here. So what tomorrow I really want to see, if the bullish momentum is still here, is to close over 173.50. This would be the only spot that I would remain bullish, is tomorrow's close. If we close on, anytime we close under this 170, that's just no bueno. So it's going to be something to watch tomorrow. And the reason I say tomorrow is because I was looking through some time frames and I added a new one on the 14-day chart. So this is like one of the candles here. It's kind of like, I don't like when candles do that specifically, because if you see over here, I mean, it's the same type of scenario, right? So what's also concerning is your volume profile over here. If it does lose this one, like 170 level, 168, there's no buyers here. So this becomes like butter right here. That's a little concerning on, because if you look at the next volume node at 140, it's at 146.59, right? So 146.59. If we draw just a simple box structure that hasn't been retested, right? Can you see some type of cup and handle shape? Kind of drag it down a little bit and sweep it up. So that's going to be the question here. Like, is there going to be a lot of buyers that come in and step in, and this is just a very powerful buying opportunity? Yes. Or does this just continue on? In my opinion, it's starting to make a little bit of sense that this is going to come back down to get some buyers in. that in a bullish market, if we are in a bullish market, that's what you would want to see. So we might be looking at exiting Oracle tomorrow, just depending on this close. I will enter some longer puts because this could take easily between 28 days, like technically the end of the month. That's going to be a pretty decent win here. But like I said, let's just see what the tomorrow's close is and go from there. Because there is some charts, like, so I'm going to go back to Tesla. So Tesla it's up right now on after hours. That's like another $1 or $2. So if you notice here on its volume profile on this 14-day chart, it's been holding above this volume note here, and it's just accumulating. I say that. Yeah, that one is a tricky one too with Tesla. That's a bad way to explain that one. And there is a lot of buyers here, but I mean, if you look at this both ways, that's just, man, there's a lot of pressure being built. Let's look at it from a different time frame because it explains it better. That's what it was. I changed the. Hold on one sec, guys. Yeah, that's not a very good example, sorry. I can't remember what time frame I was on here. Anyways, but if we just look at this from accumulation range, right? So today we got that push off of this imbalance that was created, which is also just a previous supply demand zone, right? So once this reacted off of this, it then created another imbalance. It's concerning to a little bit because then this is also a supply rejection on top side, but it's still holding demand right here at the 329 level. So that's why I said if you see under 328, then it's a different story. But as long as this is holding that 329, then it's still in good shape. So ideally, what tomorrow you would want to see is to hold this gap up that's being created overnight and after hours, correct? Come back up open in the morning and test this imbalance to show support. Tesla loves imbalances than most charts. That's why I love Tesla so much, because it follows the rules of supply and demand. But yeah, I mean, as long as this, I mean, ideally, if you close over the 336 tomorrow, that would, even if you even open above that, that don't have to necessarily test that imbalance. I mean, eventually it will, but you could still push off at 336 and get upwards of, maybe hit this note at 349. I mean, you could get today's high, what was it, 343. I mean, you could see an inside candle, you never know. But as long as this is showing strength and not losing this 328, then it's a very good opportunity here. I watched a little replay on these volume nodes here, and it was showing like just how it was accumulation. When you do like the replay, you have to kind of watch it yourself, but it was very interesting. It's one of the new little ways I'm kind of looking at. I really like this way of trading. But so one thing I will show you is on United Health. And if we're right on this, so when you do the replay on this, this is crazy. So we're gonna do a quick replay. We're gonna start, since it got in this range, okay. So, where did our profile go? Maybe not. Hold on 1 second, guys. It's taking my volume profile out. Anyways, it's not letting me do it for some, I don't know why. Something's going on with this computer. Freaking sucks, guys. Anyways. The volume, what it was saying is, when it was coming down, like, yes, these nodes were moving up as if you could see the distribution cycle in it. And then what was crazy is all this volume came in, and this was when these started to grow, right? Because you could see the accumulation. But it then just evaporated, like when it started after the news. Like it's very weird, and it's also at a high volume here. So if you start to lose this node at like 300, then yes, I do see this fully getting back to this 350. Like the 252 was my target, just because there is. Let me show you the reason. Because so if you look at this monthly chart, this is what I've been following on. This is how it goes off of monthlies. This is how UNH works. So if you notice over here, you had a box, that monthly, that's an actual breakout. So if this would have actually closed at, like, say 461 instead of 412 that month, then this would have been pretty much invalid. That's typically, like, when they have like a short little, like, say right here, that's something I've learned recently too. Like, if it just kind of closes just right in this range, typically it's going to end up filling it most of the times. So what you want to see on an actual follow through is this range, right? So what I mean by that, so if you get like a measurement, so what the easiest way to do a measurement, you just take a line and draw it from that range, right? And you probably can't see that very well. Anyway, there's a line. So you get that, take that from the bottom of this base, and you pretty much measure it out. That's what your target is. So this one showed roughly 414, and it stopped out at 412. So you would pretty much get your target where that stops out at. So with it being a continuation of breakdown, then you can measure the actual size of this body of candle going from here to here, and that would give you the next size of this candle. If you notice, look where it stopped. This one showed 297, and it stops out at 300. So now what I am seeing again is this same repeating cycle. You just closed the monthly, correct? We made the same type of box structure. This one was the same type of structure, just a little bit different. So this month, you know, now that I'm looking at it, UNH could seriously come down to like sub 100s this month, if it wants to. It just depends if that was the actual completion of this overextension, correct? So let me show you what my means of an overextension exactly is. So I could give you this full Elliott count. This is probably one of the simplest looks in my eyes as to what I think is completely correct. And I could be wrong for the future. I mean, I could be wrong. I have been wrong plenty of times. I'm not saying it's going to be, it's just, I fully believe in this. This is one of those ones that really just stands out to me. That's why I've been tracking it so much. When I see this shape right here, this little overextension, and what I mean is after you see an impulse, a 3-wave, correct? So this is the inversion of the chart, right? So this is your 3-wave. It looks like a little S, right? Remember them old school S's in school? You know, you would do the draw like, what was it? Sorry guys. Do like the anyway, anyways, it kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, I like that. Anyways, but it's just like the shape of it's just I've always called it an S curve. It just reminds me of this. Anyways, going forward, I do think this little shape here is that overextension of this dramatic 3-wave. I've seen these a few times. If you go to Tesla daily chart, you'll see it there. You can tell Tesla's been in the 4th wave for a long time. 4th waves are your macro correction, like in a macro stance, take a very, very long time. But if you notice here, this could also, like on the UNH one, this overextension can be a part of the 4th wave. But it can also be a longer cause to how long it'll actually take. Like for instance, say if this starts falling from here, say if we do get that 252, if it's not done with that 4th wave, it'll stop out there, and then it'll come back down here again, and this will be a corrective phase of a 4th, but it's just a longer term. Like I said, 4 waves typically do take longer. Like it's typically half to maybe it can lead up to the full time of that 3rd wave. About half. It's typically half. I mean, it's gonna here pretty soon. We'll see. But like I said, over the end of the month, I do want to see this come back down to 252. Just because of the reasons why. Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, man, when I tell you guys, we really are in a tricky market right now. I mean, you got stuff that looks bearish, you got stuff that looks bullish, it's just insane, honestly. Like if now we'll go over to SPY. So SPY is the one that really says like, hey, I'm still bullish. This was, if you noticed the other day, I said, hey, it was coming back to 642. But today we ended up closing over that pretty much rejection point, and it closed over that base that we were talking about that one Friday, the 15th of August. So, or around that date. So as long as this is still holding a bullish momentum, and this base is still showing very strong demand, then this was just a very good buying opportunity on top of this. Correct. So if this will gap up tomorrow or push throughout the day up toward the side of 648, 649. $5 move, which makes sense with Tesla. Just looking at the strength behind it. But yeah, I mean but it's so weird because NVIDIA, like you get what I mean? Like it's just, it's a very mixed market. NVIDIA is the one that keeps telling me, hey, be cautious. And then you have, looks like Tesla, but Tesla can fake out. I mean, it's Bibles, let's see. I'll tell you, tomorrow's got a very, very strong importance where we open at, and yeah, just where we open at. Like if SPY opens under 642, I mean, we're going to see a big drop. And if it opens above, say, 643, 644-ish, then I expect at least 647. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, we'll see y'all guys in the morning. Have a good night.